Well, the issues of Nigeria can't, and every economy in the world, you can't exactly separate the issues of the economy and the banking sector, because basically if the banking sector is thriving, naturally the economy will thrive. So basically from time to time you want to look at the banking sector and how it relates to the economy. You're still watching Business Nigeria, and with me on the show I have Mr. NIYI ADESEUN. He's the Executive Director, ABUJA and Northern Nigeria for Heritage Bank. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And I also have Mr. DAVIDSON REGHA. He's the Group Head Product Concept with Heritage Bank also. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to start with you, sir. The first thought on my mind is the economy. Looking at the last MPC communique, the CBN governor was talking about the fact that we needed to take drastic measures to ensure that Nigeria does not fall into a recession. Now, also from the National Bureau of Statistics last job creation figures, we saw that the informal sector, which is the largest driver of jobs in Nigeria, fell drastically. The jobs they created fell. So it shows that there's a bit of some squeeze in that area. What do you think we can do to, resuscitate that sector of the economy to be able to affect the larger economy at large?
Well, thank you so much. The fact is that what we've seen come up from Q1, Q2 of this year had actually shown some downward trends in most sectors in terms of slowdown. So the upturn that could be expected would only be in the line of production. But when things are going down, things have not gotten as bad as it is. That's why the CBN governor or some economists will still tell you, yes, things are tough. We're saying that we're going down towards a recession period, but then there could be some upturn. The upturn clearly will have to be production. Production will have to, which is why the bank we run, we focus on SME. You need to take businesses to the hands of the few that can hire 1 or 2, 10 few people so that there can be employment as it were, and then production comes up, and so the economy gets reflected in a little way. The upturn cannot be anything anyone would determine. But those policies are what would particularly generate and take back the economy to that level. I mean, this is a cyclical thing. It happens from time to time. So the downtime is what we'll be looking at to say, hey, how long do we want to engage ourselves in the useful economic policies that has to come up that make us get reflected quickly back into upward growth.
Mr. REGHA, the issue here now is we just received a report from the Ease of Doing Business report, and it still put Nigeria in that 160 bracket out of 189, I think it is. And if you look at the criteria for ease of business in Nigeria, it is very difficult to do business in Nigeria. How, and I know that Heritage Bank is bullish on supporting SMEs in Nigeria. How do you work with the fact that there's the difficulty of doing business in Nigeria and still wanting to support SMEs in Nigeria?
Okay, the key word is reflation, like my ED just mentioned. And if you want to reflate the economy, the sector to actually focus on is the SME sector of the economy. As a bank, we realize that that sector is critical. So we pride ourselves as an SME bank, and what we do is to deal with those challenges, we've set up what we call the SME clinic. It's like a diagnostic clinic, just like you have in medicine, where we bring in the SMEs into the bank and teach them. And over time, people think the problem of the SME is funding. Usually, funding is like 10–15% of the problem. The problem is critical is structures. So through in the clinic, we put them through basic business ethics and try to put structures in place for them such that this challenge you mentioned, they'll be able to deal with those challenges.
Mr. ADESEUN, from 6 to 172, that's a huge leap for anybody to do. 6 branches, Heritage Bank, acquired Enterprise Bank and went from 6 to 172. Now, the thought on my mind is, how did you make that transition? Because we're talking about issues of corporate governance, we're talking about IT infrastructure, we're talking about staffing. I mean, from 6 to 172, how did you do that?
Thank you. Maybe just to put the facts correctly, it wasn't 6 in the real sense. We started from actually 1. Then we moved up to
Wow.
6. Maybe the last time you captured was we were 6. But I can tell you we were up to about 11, 12, and then we have 4 that were existing, but we needed to secure the final approval to get them to come to stream. However, the strategy we had done from the beginning is in each of those locations you've seen, we have maybe 6 offices, 6 experience centers situating in a particular office, and they're operating and they're doing business. But then they run as if it's 1. So from onstart, because we knew where we're going, the only way to grow would not be the organic growth. We knew we're going to diversify a little bit. But then the opportunity did come, and we took on that opportunity. And so we're able to take on the new bank, which is Enterprise Bank. However, Enterprise Bank was bigger in terms of footprint, in terms of locations, in terms of people. But because we also have enough people, pretty like maybe 40% of the bank we've acquired, because we have done that strategy of putting in like 4 or 5 different offices. I mean, you see us in Ikeja. We see that at Jones, but then you think it's only 1 office that is there. It's about 4 or 5 offices. Some focus strictly this end. Some of that ones focus. So at the end of the day, they converge in the same location, but they're able to move and go on.
And that gives you some level of efficiency.
Exactly. And then we're also able to have enough coverage. So having taken the new bank today, it's almost seamless. I've been involved also in some integration before, and the colleagues I have, we've done that in the past. So it's almost seamless, but then there'll be some bit of teething issues. You're talking corporate governance is not an issue for us, as it were, because again, the board didn't change, okay? However, in terms of people, we are friendly people. The people you find there that were out here today in Lagos is a mix, total mix. It's not former this bank, former that bank. Everybody, you don't even know, because again, we are branded the same way. So the business is going on. And
this speaks to revenue.
That's right.
And I'm sure investors are thinking to themselves, how can I get a piece of this? Well, I mean, everybody's expecting, when are you coming to the stock exchange?
We sure will come. It takes time. It takes some bit of time. The first thing we did, our first year, was to go to the to the stock exchange. And we did tell them clearly, we would be coming here. We're not going to limit it to ourselves. We need the growth. We need the capital. So right now, we even beyond we going to the stock exchange or going to the capital market, part of our focus in grooming SMEs is to particularly determine that we're going to have 1, 2, 3 that we're going to pull up from their levels and take them to the next level, to the corporate levels, where they can then also engage on additional capital from the stock exchange market to be able to do business, from the capital market to be able to do business. So we'll sure go there. We're just on year 3 now that we concluded. So once we meet all the necessary authorities criteria that requires us to come in there, we would do that. The best we've done is just to do private placement, in getting investors in. But we'll go to the larger market to be able to.
So he said it's keep your money waiting. We'll be going in heavy on that.
Maybe I should even add to that, because when we started the new bank, then the mandate given to us by the board and executive management was that in 3 years we must take at least 3 to 5 companies to the stock exchange. But because of the acquisition, that's been truncated a bit. I know, another year or 2, Niyyi, as part of executive management, will remind us of that promise. But I'll say to him that you truncated it with the acquisition. But the goal really is to take some SME companies to the capital market, and we're working towards that.
So speaking about that, what the products you have and the target market, how has that worked? Because, I mean, you're targeting a certain parts of the Nigerian market as a whole. So what kind of products exactly have you created, and you know that unique enough to bring in those people into your fold?
Banking is moving away from products, if I want to put it that way. The focus is on the customer, actually. So what we're looking at is we look at customers and the segments. And based on insight from customers and segments, we develop products. And I'll tell you, some industries have done it so well. The fast food moving consumable industry, they've borrowed from behavioral psychology to actually help them, assist them in developing products for consumers. And that's the strategy and the approach of our bank. We are building on that strategy. We are not just developing products for development stage, but we are looking at segments and customers to influence the kind of decisions we take as a bank. That is the objective.
Well, from what I see here, you supported SMEs with about 23.5 billion in the past 2.5 years, and you're hoping to get about 100 billion naira. 100 billion naira. What is the strategy to get, what is the strategy you're using to take this out? And knowing that the fact that there are people who need money out there. You've spoken about the fact that you have an SME clinic, which obviously gets the people prepared before you actually disburse. But what is the overall strategy?
The overall strategy is, before I go into that, the goal is the SME sector provides about 47% of employment in Nigeria.
That's true. That's true.
And as a country, if you want to grow, that is a sector to actually focus on. Now, if we focus on SMEs the way Heritage Bank focuses on SME, I'm talking of the other banks and other financial institutions, it means we can actually drive that number from 47 to about 60, 70%. Now, if we achieve that as a country, then we've achieved our goals. And the mistake people make is that people want the government to provide employment all the time. No. The government provides an enabling environment for people to thrive. And part of the strategy is to move to the youth segment. And we've collaborated, partnership, like Baidi mentioned, that our goal as a bank is to partner with sectors. We've partnered with the NYSC, and there's a scheme for them where, as corpers come out, those that we've discovered and highlighted and identified as having entrepreneurial spirit, we'll give them soft loans to actually start their own business themselves. So if we start from that level and take it about beyond, these numbers you just mentioned will just be child's play. So,
Mr. ADESEUN, revenue projections for between now and the end of your financial year, how much more do you think Heritage Bank can do?
Well, it's a year of spend for us. So we do not expect that there'll be so much that we put on the table. But net, we will do a reasonable profit for the few shareholders. It's a spend year, as I said, and the spend is not just in the acquisition that we have done. A whole lot of things, the kind of brand that we carry, that we need to ensure that we bring to speed the locations that we have taken over, it's going to cost us some money. But we are being careful in the way we do that. We're not just taking everything. We're going to take it up in phases. But to answer your question, revenue lines are there, but it's going to dip a little because of, again, most of the lines that we have in banking today has been, it's really diminishing, fast diminishing. So it's creative values that you give to sectors that we're referring to here, who most times also they don't even mind when you give or charge them reasonably. They're willing to, because again, it's about turnover for them. So revenues for us, I'll put it in some little range. We don't expect, we will break even very clearly, but then it wouldn't be something high up there. Our growth phase would start from like a next year when we know by that time we've concluded with all the major expenses we need to do, and then we can begin to now drive and sweat all the assets that we've created.
And of course, you know that us at Business Nigeria will continue to follow the story of Heritage Bank and their earnings and their results. Thank you very much, Mr. Niyyi ADESEUN. He's the Executive Director, Abuja and Northern Region for Heritage Bank, and Mr. DAVIDSON REGHA, that's the Group Head Product Concept. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we'll be back after this short break. Do not go anywhere. This is Business Nigeria.